On my wedding day, my groom Tobe led the wedding procession and picked up his unattainable love instead. Dressed in my wedding gown, I stood before a hall full of guests, becoming the laughingstock of the entire city. At that moment, the groom Tobe's youngest uncle brought over the betrothal gifts. Since you're marrying into my Shen residence, how about you marry me instead? Seeing the usually cold and aloof Grand Secretary's face turn beet red, I suddenly smiled. It doesn't matter who I marry. I slowly nodded. Okay. 2 bridal sedans entered the Shen residence, one after the other. When he helped me out of the sedan chair, I could feel Shen Fengyi's palm was slightly sweaty. Who would have known that the great Grand Secretary, who commands the court and country, would also get nervous? By the time Shen Fenghe led me through the door, Shen Xian had already entered the bridal chamber with Lu Xiaoxiao. The next day, after Shen Fenghe and I served the tea, those two still hadn't woken up. It wasn't until evening that the two of them finally showed up late. Due to their lax discipline, Shen Xian's parents were sent away to the mountain villa outside the city by the old madam and the matriarch. Shen Fenghe was urgently summoned to the palace before he could have breakfast. When they saw me sitting alone in the courtyard admiring the flowers, both of them were stunned. Shen Xian let go of Lu Xiaoxiao's hand. He strode forward, his panic visible to the naked eye. Sun Wei, why are you here? I lifted my gaze and glanced at him. This is where I'm supposed to be. He was delighted to hear this. Sun Wei, you're not mad at me. I didn't mean to not pick you up yesterday. It was just a strange twist of fate that I married Xiaoxiao. I promise, I'll definitely pick you up next time. Although his actions yesterday had already made my head spin with anger, but hearing his utterly shameless words, I became even more furious, the fire in my heart difficult to extinguish. What a strange twist of fate. Lu Xiaoxiao stepped forward to block Shen Xian, deliberately pulling open her collar, revealing countless suggestive red marks. She spoke in a soft voice, making excuses for Shen Xian. Sister Sun Wei, please don't blame my husband. It's because yesterday my father was going to sell me to a 50-year-old widower as a concubine. My husband had no other choice but to marry me first. If you must blame someone, Sister Sun Wei, blame me. Don't blame my husband. Saying my husband over and over, she was so smug. Shen Xian was overjoyed to see his little wife defending him so. I looked at her with cold eyes. Don't be all older sister this, younger sister that with me. The Ministry of Rights Minister's mansion doesn't have a tofu-selling sister. Lu Xiaoxiao looked like she was about to cry. I know mists and looks down on my background. Shen Xian immediately pulled her into his arms to protect her, then berated me. Sun Wei, stop putting on your young miss airs. Xiaoxiao married me before you. There's nothing wrong with her calling you little sister. When you marry into the family in the future, you can only be a concubine at first. Is there a problem with respectfully calling her older sister? Hearing this self-righteous sentence, I laughed out of anger. Who the hell do you think you are, to be worthy of me? Sun Wei, as your concubine. Shen Xian looked at me with a face full of disapproval. What I dislike most is this spoiled young miss temper of yours. Learn from Xiaoxiao. When the time comes, change your temperament. Bear me a son or a daughter, and I can elevate you to a noble concubine. But you'll definitely have to be a rank lower than Xiaoxiao. Otherwise, with your temperament being superior to hers, she'll definitely be bullied. I trembled all over with anger because of the belittling in his words. Gritting my teeth, in your dreams, I've already married you. Before I could finish, I was interrupted by Shen Xian, who had an I understand everything expression. I know you're angry about yesterday. If you really didn't want to marry me, why would you be here today waiting for me to have a change of heart? I'm promising you the position of a noble concubine. You should take the offer and stop. If you keep acting up, be careful you'll end up with nothing. Lu Xiaoxiao's legs suddenly went weak and she fell into Shen Xian's arms. She whined coquettishly, husband, it's all your fault for being too vigorous last night, making me unable to even stand steady. Shen Xian's face was full of tenderness. You're like a delicate flower. How could you withstand me? Lu Xiaoxiao's face was full of shyness, and she was about to say something. Then I heard Shen Xian say to me, Sun Wei, you should marry over soon to help share Xiaoxiao's burden a bit. After he said that, Lu Xiaoxiao's expression stiffened. Alright, since father and mother aren't here anyway, well skip serving tea today. Your husband will take you back to rest. Shen Xian left, carrying her in his arms. Without looking back, I just felt that my love of over 10 years was like a joke. Shen Xian and I were childhood sweethearts who grew up together because of a childhood engagement promise made by our parents. When we played house, I would always play his bride. Later, when love first blossomed, we confirmed our feelings for each other. He was very good to me. Whenever there was good food or good drink, I was the first one he thought of. When did we start to change? Was it from when Xianxia saved Xiaoxiao from under the horse's hooves, when he gave me the poorly carved, defective wooden hairpin, while the one in Lu Xiaoxiao's hair was an exquisitely crafted wooden hairpin? Was it during the Lantern Festival, when I was pushed to the ground by a passerby, but he only cared about protecting Lu Xiaoxiao, leaving without a look back? None of that matters anymore. Shen Fenghe had yet to return. I took the opportunity to return to the minister's manor to sort out the gifts Xianxian once gave me, along with the betrothal gifts, to return to him when the time comes. Before I could finish organizing, Xianxian arrived. He looked at me holding the rabbit lantern he had given us. His eyes were full of smugness. You say you don't want to marry me, but aren't you looking at this and thinking of me? Last year, during the Lantern Festival, because Lu Xiaoxiao was beaten by her father, Xianxian bought her a whole street's worth of lanterns. I was angry with him for this. He perfunctorily tossed me a rabbit lantern that Lu Xiaoxiao didn't want. Wei, you were born a young lady. Lu Xiaoxiao has no one to rely on. Can't you be a little more tolerant? I was so angry I threw away the rabbit lantern. After running back to my residence, I was afraid the lantern would get stepped on and crushed, so I went back and picked it up. I've kept it safe ever since. Now, I throw the lantern on the ground. Instantly, it was smashed out of shape. The lantern and Xianxian. I don't want either of them anymore. What's with this tantrum? Can't you learn to be gentle like Xiaoxiao? Xianxian frowned. I can't learn. If you like gentleness, then go find her. Xianxian was about to get angry, but he suddenly thought of something. He softened his tone. I didn't come here to argue with you today. This is a gift I brought for you. He took out a pair of jade green earrings and gave them to me. I let out a cold laugh and expressionlessly threw them on the ground. I had seen Lu Xiaoxiao wear them more than once. I, Sinwei, haven't fallen so low as to want something someone else threw away. Sinwei, don't be so nasty. Xiaoxiao picked this out especially for you. She said this color suits you. Why are you so ungrateful? Besides, so what if Xiaoxiao has worn it before? She is the main wife. Is it wrong for her to bestow something upon you? I was seething with anger. He actually belittled me like this. You have no right to say this to me. I'm already married. I married you. Who are you kidding? Abandoned by me on our wedding day. Who would still want you? My pupils contracted. So he knew. Being abandoned on the wedding day. A woman is to be pointed at and scorned, isn't she? Anyway, our marriage contract has been in place for 10 years. Others have long assumed you've already given yourself to me. Who'd want a worn shoe? Alright. I'm here today for Xiaoxiao's betrothal gifts. You're not the main wife now. These 88 carriers of betrothal gifts are against protocol. I'm taking 66 chests for Xiaoxiao. After all, she is with me now, and I don't want to wrong her. Don't want to wrong her. So hell wrong me. Good. I had long seen his cold-heartedness. Takethamal. Xianxian looked up in pleasant surprise. Really, isn't this too bad for you? From the moment you married Lu Xiaoxiao, we have had nothing more to do with each other. Alright, Wei, don't say things out of anger. Seeing how sensible you've been today, I'll find an auspicious date to take you in as soon as possible. Okay, I let out a heavy sigh, not wanting to get tangled up with him anymore. Back in my room, I closed the door. Xianxian's voice came from outside the door. Wei, don't make a scene. What haven't you seen growing up? These items are nothing special to you, but Xiaoxiao is different. Her status is low. She grew up in the mud. Only with these betrothal gifts will her family think more highly of her. The next time I come to marry you, no, after you've married into the family, I'll definitely give you better things. On the third day, it was supposed to be the bride's homecoming visit, but Shen Fenghe still hadn't left the palace, and I returned home alone again. My parents saw I was all alone. They couldn't help but worry about me. How can this grand secretary Shen be so unreliable? My dad angrily flicked his sleeves. These sons of the Shen family, why are they all like this? I originally thought this grand secretary Shen was a reliable one. I, on the other hand, understood. Shen Fenghe must have been forced to marry me to clean up a mess. The moment I married him, I had already considered this possibility, but when I thought about the wedding banquet day, I stood at the door in my wedding dress, watching helplessly as Xianxian took Lu Xiaoxiao away. The gasps filling the hall made it hard for me to breathe, but then my gaze fell into a pair of eyes as dark as ink. He was in his official robes, seemingly having rushed over from a faraway place, not even having caught his breath. With the tips of his ears red, he asked me hesitantly, since you are to marry into the Shen residence, how about you marry me instead? Following that were gift chests, brought in one after another, a full 188 loads, more than double the betrothal gifts from Xianxian. He said, I was in a rush today and couldn't prepare thoroughly. I will surely make it up to you in the future. A nosy guest joked. This isn't thorough enough. Grand Secretary Shen looks like he wishes he could have scraped the plaster off his own walls for you. He ignored the teasing. His pair of affectionate eyes focused only on me. I was the only one in his eyes, even though I had just been hurt by Xianxia's heartlessness, but I still nodded as if bewitched. Perhaps the rumored Grand Secretary Shen is different from other men, I thought. But now, I've waited until all the food has gone cold. He still hasn't appeared. I laughed mockingly at myself. What am I even hoping for? I picked up the fine wine my father had prepared for his son-in-law and drank it straight down. Seeing me drunk, my father had someone help me back to my room. As I walked to the courtyard, I suddenly heard the sound of footsteps. My eyes lit up, and I turned my head. I found it was Xianxia. My hopes were dashed. I lowered my head. Why was it that before he got married, he was always busy running around for Lu Xiaoxiao, and I could never find a trace of him? But now that I've already given up on him, he's been haunting me like a lingering ghost. Seeing me staggering as I walked, he scolded in a cold voice. Binging on alcohol in broad daylight. As a woman, you have no decency at all. Husband, don't scold little sister anymore. Look at her. She probably ran into something heartbreaking. I hadn't even noticed that Lu Xiaoxiao had come too, with that petty air all over her. I thought she was a servant girl standing on the side. Hearing this, Xianxian revealed a knowing smile. And you say you don't care about me, yet you're getting drunk for me behind my back. Xiaoxiao, you'll have to keep her in line from now on. She's a mess. Lu Xiaoxiao nodded. Since I am the official wife, I will discipline little sister well in the future. I got angry and retorted with a slurring tongue. Who's marrying you? Do you know who I'm marrying? Lu Xiaoxiao covered her mouth and laughed. Little sister, you're wrong about that. What you're doing isn't called marrying. It's called being carried into the manor. I am now your little aunt-in-law. I originally didn't want to get involved with them, but since Shenfenghe isn't useful, borrowing his name to make them stop pestering me isn't a bad idea. But who would have thought? The two of them burst out laughing. Sinwei, you must be drunk, right? Who doesn't know that my young uncle isn't interested in women? He's already 26 and has never taken a wife. He once said he wants to live his whole life alone. So how could he possibly marry you? He is the youngest Grand Secretary. Little sister, you already have a husband. How dare you still covet another man? These words made Xianxian's expression change. Sinwei, I'm warning you. You'd better behave yourself. If you dare to be unfaithful, I will never want you again. It's like a chicken talking to a duck. A complete failure to communicate. A sense of powerlessness, of being unable to defend myself, washed over me. The matter of him marrying another and me marrying another on our wedding day has been the talk of the town these past few days. If he had paid even the slightest attention to my situation, he would have known that I had already married someone else. But these past few days, he was probably enjoying the pleasures of the bedchamber with Lu Xiaoxiao, too happy to think of anything else. He didn't spare a single thought for me, so he stubbornly believed that I would wait for him to come for me. Just like when we got separated at the marketplace as children, I would stay in the same spot and wait for him, wait until he appeared. Growing up, I've never been wronged much. The only person who ever wronged me was Xianxian. No, that's not right. I was also wronged by Shenfenghe. When he lifted my wedding veil, he had clearly said that he wouldn't let me be wronged in the slightest again. But now, I feel so wronged. Under the influence of alcohol, the tears burst out at once. Xianxian panicked, and coaxed in a low voice. Okay, Wei, don't cry. I was just kidding. I'll take you. How could I not want you? I've already picked an auspicious date. It's early next month. How about I welcome you into the family? Husband, I called out. Xianxian was stunned for a moment, then became ecstatic. In such a hurry to get married. So shameless. Already calling me husband. How about we consummate our marriage tonight? As he spoke, he raised his hand, wanting to wipe my tears. Suddenly, his hand, in midair, was fiercely clamped by someone. The newcomer was precisely the Shenfenghe who hadn't been seen for 2 days. His gaze was cold and grim. Who gave you the dog's guts to treat your little auntie like this? Xianxian saw that the person was him. His mind went blank. Little uncle, what do you mean by that? Shenfenghe pulled me into his arms and gently wiped away my tears. His embrace had a pleasant, crisp scent, making me feel like I had sobered up a bit. Xianxian's eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't understand. She was clearly his fiancée. Why was she obediently nestling in the arms of the little uncle he respected the most? Shenfenghe's gaze pierced him like a cold arrow. Was it you who made Wei cry? Xianxian seemed to have just realized that my call of husband wasn't for him. As if his soul had left him, he stood stunned in place. Lu Xiaoxiao was the first to make excuses for him. Chief Unclean law. It's not like that. It's because husband married me on our wedding day. Younger sister was heartbroken, so she drank to drown her sorrows. And somehow she just started crying. This matter has nothing to do with husband. Xianxia looked at her, narrowing his eyes. So, you had a hand in bullying her too. Also, in what capacity do you call me, this official, unclean law? And in what capacity do you call this official's wife younger sister? Xianxia opened his mouth, wanting to say something. No respect for your elders. Take them back to receive the family punishment. Xianxia raised his hand, and the two were dragged away, shouting and yelling. Only the two of us were left in the courtyard. He softened his voice. The people who bullied you have all been driven away. It's my fault. I came too late. They were not driven away. I glared at him with red eyes. Little did I know, the way I looked right now was just like a harmless little bunny. Xianxia rubbed my head. Alright, whoever Weiwei says is still here. I'll help you drive them away to vent your anger. I balled my fists and pounded on him. You're the one who bullies me the most. I thought you weren't coming. I thought what he said about being good to me for my whole life was also a lie. I'm really scared of being lied to. Wife. I was wrong. He admitted his mistake so readily. I was a bit stunned. When I was young, I used to go to the Shen residence to play with Xianxia. At only 17, Xianxia was already a triple first scholar. As a youth, he was tall and elegant, and served as a teacher in the Shen residence's clan school. More than once, I saw him discipline Xianxia for messing around in class. While my heart ached for Xianxia, I also came to fear this stern, young teacher. My nightmares at home were all of him hitting the palm of my hand with a discipline ruler. It was simply terrifying. When I went to the Shen residence, I would take a detour whenever I saw him. After I grew up, I also saw him from a distance a few times at palace banquets. He was uniquely cold and aloof, showing no courtesy even to princesses and commandery princesses. Who would have thought that such a lofty flower would be plucked by me, and would even bow his head for me? Seeing that I wasn't speaking, he placed my hand on his cheek. There was a recent mutiny in Lingnan, so I couldn't get away from the palace. I've made you angry, wife, and am willing to be punished. Up close, I could see his eyelashes were like wings. There were distinct dark circles under his eyes. My hand felt as if it had been scalded. You've made my parents angry. You can figure that out yourself. Appeasing my wife is the top priority. After you're not angry anymore, I'll go and apologize to father and mother. For the first time, my heart pounded like a drum. Do the people in the capital infatuated with Xianxia know he's this alluring when he whispers sweet nothings? I was dizzily brought back to the Shen residence. Xianxia wasn't in much better shape either. He had been plied with alcohol by my dad. Although his expression was normal, he was already dead drunk. He had to stick close to me just to walk. Everyone in the Shen residence looked as if they'd seen a ghost when they saw him in this state. I pushed him. Stop clinging to me. There are people watching outside, he asked with a straight face. So it's okay if no one is around. If it weren't for his dazed eyes, I would have really suspected he wasn't drunk. To placate him, I nodded. Xianxia's lips curled into a smile. Just then, his subordinate came to report. My lord, the 50 lashes have been carried out. I was shocked. The Shen residence's family rules actually involved beatings. I thought it was like at my home, where at most they'd make me copy the family rules. Xianxia and Lu Xiaoxiao were both beaten. Xianxia straightened up and shot me a sidelong glance. Humph, so what if they were beaten? Could it be, wife, that your heart aches for them? How could it be? I swear to the heavens, my heart doesn't ache in the slightest. If I were to feel sorry for anyone, I'd only feel sorry for. Looking at his scorching eyes, I found it hard to say the rest of the words. He stared without blinking, waiting for what I would say next. I said in a small voice, if I'm going to feel heartache for someone, it'll only be for my own husband. Xianxia smiled in satisfaction, raising his eyes to look at Xianxia, who was dragging his injured body around the corner. Raised any brow. I helped him back to the room. The moment he hit the bed, he closed his eyes. I quietly and gently wiped his body for him, then went to the kitchenette to make him some hangover soup. Unexpectedly, I suddenly heard a sentence. You called him husband. It was Xianxia. One bad thing about marrying Xianxia is living under the same roof. You're bound to run into each other. I knew at him. I didn't even glance at him. Weiwei, being so fickle and even marrying my little uncle. Don't you think you've wronged me? He was not married, and I was not married. I don't understand how I've wronged him. How come it's a twist of fate when he marries someone else, but when I marry another, I become a fickle woman? Then if he wants 2 women, isn't that shameless? I pretended not to see or hear anything. I continued to busy myself with the work at hand, but he kept circling around me. Wei, look at me, it hurts. Xianxia put on a heartbroken expression. Back when he didn't do his homework properly and got his palm smacked by Xianxia, he would act spoiled towards me just like this. My heart would ache for him, and after applying medicine for him, I'd help him badmouth Xianxia. I would also secretly imitate his handwriting to do his homework for him, but he would run off to listen to music and watch plays, having the time of his life. Thinking back now, it wasn't worth it from the very beginning. Now he pulls off his robe, revealing a bloody wound right in front of me. I remained completely unmoved. I'm injured. Can't you see? If you're injured, go find your Xiaoxiao to treat you. What are you looking for me for? Xiaoxiao is injured too. That's why I came to find you to take care of us both. I suspect it was Xianxia's brain that got hit. I am the esteemed eldest miss of the minister's manor. I'd have to be crazy to go be a slave and a servant girl for them. Get lost. My husband's sobriety soup is ready. He looked at me as if he were looking at a heartless person. Husband? You call him husband? Then what does that make me? That makes you my nephew. Xianxia looked as if he'd lost his parents. Sinwei, look closely. I am your fiancé. The moment you married Lu Xiaoxiao, you were not. Why are you doing this to me? I said I'd pick an auspicious day to carry you into my home. Are you so unable to bear the loneliness that you can't even wait a few days? I smashed the scalding hot sobering up soup on him. Xianxia, what makes you think I would wait for you? That I would be your concubine? His face contorted from the scalding. I already told you. It's only temporary. Xiaoxiao has a humble background. If she doesn't have the position of the main wife to protect her, you'll definitely oppress her. This is a foolproof plan. Can't you be a little more understanding? A foolproof plan. It was just a foolproof plan for his and Lu Xiaoxiao's deep affection. It was wrong from the very beginning. I shouldn't have taken his childhood promise of one couple for a lifetime seriously. I was the one who was wrong. I overestimated his love for me. Since it's a mistake, it should be set right. You divorce my little uncle, and I won't hold it against you. Xianxia, are you trying to die? Xianxia said this word by word through gritted teeth. Then he kicked Xianxia, sending him flying. I ran to his side to complain. Husband, it was him. He was bullying me. Xianxia couldn't get up for a long time. Pointing at us, he said with a tremble, you pair of adulterous man and W. He was afraid of Xianxia, so he didn't dare call him an adulterer, but he dared to call me a W. I really laughed out of anger. Because of our more than 10 years of childhood friendship, I've been way too nice to him. That's why he would insult me like this. Xianxia, with a cold face, gave him a few slaps. Your little aunt. How dare you slander her as you please? If you don't know how to speak, then don't keep your tongue. Xianxia cowered in fear. Who doesn't know that Grand Secretary Shen is swift and decisive? And when it comes to torture, he recognizes no kin. He doesn't care if Xianxia is his nephew or not. And now, the Shen residence is his to rule by his word alone. Xianxia was truly afraid he wouldn't be able to keep his tongue. Little uncle, I usually respect you the most, but why would you even snatch your nephew's wife? Your wife. Isn't your wife perfectly fine in your courtyard? Where is your wife here? Xianxia looked towards me. I spoke up. I thought I had made myself very clear. Xianxia, even if I have a 10-year marriage contract with you, so what? There are so many men in the world. I don't have to marry you. In the past, you were ignorant and unlearned, completely without ambition, having only a heart full of sincere devotion to me, and I accepted that. But what about now? You can't even hold on to that pitiful bit of sincerity. What redeeming qualities do you have left? Xianxia was first embarrassed, then it dawned on him. Aha, you've shown your true colors, haven't you? You've long despised me for having no official rank, despised me for being uneducated and unskilled, so you've been hooking up with younger uncle all along. Hooking up with younger uncle. I slapped him hard across the face a few times. If he can't understand words, then I'll have to teach him a lesson. Xianxia rubbed my palm, which was numb from the slapping. He instructed calmly, administer the family discipline. Xianxia was dragged away, his mouth full of filth. I was silent for a moment. I ladled a bowl of hangover soup for him. He saw that my spirits were low. He asked in a low voice, are you regretting it? Marrying me? Hearing this, I looked at him. There was nervousness and helplessness in his eyes. I slowly shook my head. No, it's that I don't know why Xianxia has become like this. He's a far cry from the high-spirited young man in my memory. I don't know when he became so unrecognizable. Xianxia took my hand. For a person of weak will, it is difficult to stay true to oneself. I looked up at him. My eyes filled with tears. Is it because I'm not good enough? How could that be? You are the best Wei Wei in the world. He held me tightly in his arms. In his arms, I felt a sense of security I hadn't felt in a long time. I heard that Xianxia was carried out. He took a full 100 lashes. Even a man from the army couldn't have taken it, let alone a playboy like Xianxia who only knows a life of debauchery. The next day, Lu Xiaoxiao came to our door to start a fight. At that time, Xin Fenghe was in his study handling official business. I was in the courtyard, basking in the sun and reading a storybook. Lu Xiaoxiao's face was pale, but her eyes were fierce. Xin Wei, my husband has met with such a great disaster. And it's all because of you. How dare you still be here enjoying yourself? Her expression was ferocious, completely unlike the frail, innocent flower she acts like in front of Xianxia. That makes sense. If she weren't scheming, how could she have just happened to be saved by Xianxia? And after being saved, run into him on the street time and time again. At first, seeing that she was an orphan bullied by her relatives, I pitied her too. I even gave her the money pouch I carried with me. On the surface, she was full of gratitude, but behind my back, she took out the silver and threw the pouch on the ground. I thought the young miss was rich, but it's just this little bit. Is she trying to get rid of a beggar, that father of hers, who would beat and curse her at every turn? Said fawningly, my good daughter, you keep clinging to young Master Shen. Give this silver to Dad. It's enough for me to gamble quite a few rounds. Lu Xiaoxiao said impatiently, take it, take it. Next time you're acting, hit lighter. Those two are both idiots. They won't be able to tell. Later, I turned around and told Xianxia about this, but he thought I was being jealous and slandering Lu Xiaoxiao behind her back. When the three of us were out together, I deliberately provoked Lu Xiaoxiao to show her true colors. He scolded me, saying I was using my status to bully the weak. In the end, the two of them went out to have fun. Xianxia never took me with him again. Now, I gave her a lazy glance. How can you blame me for your husband getting hurt? If you have to blame someone, blame him for not being able to control that mouth of his. Heh, isn't it just because I stole your position as the main wife that you turned love into hate and treated my husband that way? Now he's unconscious and still calling your name. Are you satisfied now? Hold on. Why does every single one of them think I'm interested in the position of the main wife? Is Xianxia's position as the main wife some kind of amazing thing? It's not like it's the emperor's throne that everyone wants to sit on. I rolled my eyes at her. Then you go back and shut his mouth. My name being called from that mouth of his. I feel it's bad luck. Xin Wei, I know that as the eldest daughter, you're unhappy about being suppressed by me, but you should never have taken it out on my husband's life. If you know what's good for you, I'm willing to give you a chance to serve him. She and Xianxia are really two of a kind. It's like neither of them can understand human language. I snorted coldly and yelled into the room, husband, come quick. I'm being bullied. A strong gust of wind rushed over. The next moment, I fell into a broad embrace. Shen Fengyi's eyes were full of anxiety as he looked me up and down all over. Seeing I was unharmed, he breathed a sigh of relief and looked coldly at Lu Xiaoxiao. She was extremely flustered. My Lord Shen, it's not like that. She's the one spouting nonsense and bullying people with her power. Drag her away. Lu Xiaoxiao's wails gradually faded away. I was a little embarrassed. Do you think I'm bullying people with my power? Shen Fenghe smiled slightly. I'm very happy to be qualified to have your back. Xianxian lay in bed, staring at the door with eager anticipation. Hearing a noise, his heart leaped with joy. Wei Wei, you couldn't bear to see me hurt, right? But what he got was Lu Xiaoxiao, who had been beaten to a pulp. She was carelessly thrown onto Xianxian's body. It simultaneously aggravated the injuries on both of them. Xianxian mercilessly flipped her onto the floor. Lu Xiaoxiao's face twisted in pain. Husband, it hurts so much. If it were in the past, Xianxian would have fallen for this act the most. He couldn't wait to pull the person into his arms and dote on them fiercely, but now he could barely fend for himself. And then he saw Lu Xiaoxiao's disheveled face. He couldn't muster any romantic thoughts. Whereas me Wei Wei. A vicious glint flashed in Lu Xiaoxiao's eyes as she said, almost mockingly, she doesn't want you anymore. You're full of shit. Wei Wei, you're here. I leaned against the door outside and glanced in. It was a chaotic mess inside. Just as Xianxian was about to say something, Shen Fenghe came to stand beside me. Then, a few clan elders came in. Today, we will open the ancestral hall and remove Xianxian, son of the Shen family's main branch, from the family registry. Xianxian's burst of joy was extinguished. What? The clan elder listed the family rules that Xianxian had violated. The most serious one was causing chaos in the rear court. Xianxian, with red eyes, looked at Shen Fenghe. What right do you have to make this decision? My parents won't agree. If you don't comply, your parents will be removed from the registry as well. Xianxia stood in a high position precisely so he wouldn't have to be subservient to others. His glory alone could ensure the Xin family's foundation wouldn't fall for 100 years. Dealing with a good-for-nothing nephew was nothing to him. When Xianxian and Lu Xiaoxiao were thrown out of the residence, they were already on their last breath. Many common people were gathered around, watching. "I'll join in on the fun too." Xianxian looked at my figure and roared in anger. "It's you, isn't it? Just because I wronged you. You instigated little uncle to kick me out of the family, you venomous woman. It's a good thing I married Xiaoxiao and not you, so you do know you wronged me, huh? And yet you acted so self-righteous. Since you feel so lucky, then you two lovebirds can go live your happy life together." I flicked my sleeves, grabbed Xianxia, and left. Later, I heard it was Lu Xiaoxiao's father who took them in, but I didn't care anymore. Xianxian no longer stirred a single ripple in my heart, until one day, as I was coming out of the clothier's shop, a person in ragged clothes lunged over. The guards Xianxia had arranged for me were quick to block him. Unexpectedly, this disheveled person was actually Xianxian, a complete change from his former image as a young master. He had lost a lot of weight. His eyes were filled with numbness and despair. Wei, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you like that. It was only after I got to the Lu family that I realized Lu Xiaoxiao is the venomous woman. I raised an eyebrow. So he's finally seen Lu Xiaoxiao's true colors. That day, he was taken away by Lu Xiaoxiao's father. They thought people from the Xin residence were coming to get him, so they were very polite to him. Later they discovered he was truly an abandoned son of the Xin residence. Before the wounds on his body had even healed, they would beat and curse him at every turn. And in the freezing cold, they even made him grind tofu. He was just like a slave to the Lu family. The betrothal gift he gave to Lu Xiaoxiao was all gambled away by Lu Xiaoxiao's father. They also snatched the valuable things on his person and pawned them. Later on, when they really had no money left, her dad found a new target for her. Lu Xiaoxiao even had intercourse with another man right in front of him. He was devastated with grief and indignation, but was chained up at the Lu family's place like a dog. At that time, all he could think about was Chenwei. Although Chenwei sometimes had a bit of a young mistemper, but she had never treated him like this. So after escaping with great difficulty, the first thing he did was come find her. I silently watched him kneel on the ground and repent. I was really wrong. Please give me another chance. Okay, don't you understand? What's done is done. I want to go back to the Xin residence. I want to go back to your side. Wei, please look at me, won't you? If you want to go back to the Xin residence, you should tell your young uncle, not come to me. The horse carriage stopped by the roadside. Xianxia, who had just finished his duties at court, got down. There's no precedent in the Xin family for someone who has been disowned to return. Oh, you probably don't know, but your father's concubine is pregnant again. He would soon be replaced. Xianxian's heart turned to dead ashes. Xianxia helped me into the carriage. You just got pregnant and you're already running all over the place. As a punishment, no pastries for you today. Upon hearing this, Xianxian was even more devastated. Wei, you're pregnant, he cried out in anguish. Why? I only made one small mistake. Why has it come to this? She was supposed to be my wife. She was supposed to call me husband, and she should have borne my children. As Xianxia got into the carriage, he glanced at him. If you don't cherish her, naturally someone else will treat her as a treasure. After that, I never saw him again. I heard that a madman had appeared in the dilapidated temple outside the city, treating a tattered flower lantern like a treasure. He kept shouting that if he could do it all over again, he definitely wouldn't choose the wrong person. I was no longer interested. Today, Xianxia is on his day off. He wants to take me and our daughter on an outing to fly kites. I smiled as I looked at the handsome and dashing man. How could it be the same no matter who I married?